know it's a fight to try and listen, 'cause I might not know what to say. Selfishly, I'm worried you might run and hide. Selflessly, you're learning.
All right, I need to stop because I was kind of feeling a little bit and I would have just kept going. Also, you might be hearing some fireworks going off outside because it is summertime and that's what happens. Welcome, y'all. So excited to be present and with folks. I know that I'm late. It is no longer summer solstice. We are now, I guess, yeah, just a couple days. Just a couple days after summer solstice. Not too bad. Yeah, just thank you for being in the flow with me around, just moving through where capacity and energy is, and give me grace around getting this reading out to folks. So welcome to Terror for World on Fire. For folks who might be new to the space, Terror for World on Fire are tarot readings that are aligned with the seasons to explore personal and collective healing as a strategy to let the worlds we once knew decompose and cultivate a new world that deserves us. My name is Blair, and I am a member of the Rooted Collective. And the Rooted Collective is a liberatory gathering of Black LGBTQ folks to define, dream, and expand on the ways we heal from oppression and practice joy and pleasure. We root our work in the knowledge that all healing for all Black people is political resistance. And I do some work in many spaces, but primarily through this mechanism and form, through my website, Alight Baltimore or Alight Alchemy. So alightalchemy.com, alightbaltimore.com. And it's a place we can go and sit for a spell, breathe through transition, and ignite your power and purpose through the art of tarot, coaching, consulting, and other integrative healing practices for individuals and communities. So that is the opener. Hi, how's it going? It's summer, yay, we made it to summer. Yeah, so excited for this time together. Yeah, so really quickly, before I even jump into kind of doing our thing, that song was called Try by Madison McFerrin. It's a really beautiful song. We'll close on it as we do, and definitely check it out. I think it just came up in my listenings for different playlists and stuff that I was listening to, and so yeah, it's just really great. I also ended up creating a playlist with the songs that I feel most inspired by for these Tarot for World on Fire readings, which is on Spotify, and I will post that to my website. It is not there currently, but yeah, if folks have been like, oh, I really want to know and have the music that Blair starts and ends with, that's going to be the place where that's going to be saved. And so I'll post that to my website sometime in the next week. So folks can find that there on the Tarot for World on Fire page of the website. And I got a new mic. Hopefully this sounds really clear and good, which is new. I now am a co-owner of Fancy Mic with a neighbor. So this is our new child, and yeah, maybe I'll start podcasting. Who knows? The world is open and full of possibility. So yeah, I think those are just some kind of like intro things. Lovely, awesome. So we are here. It is summer, and let's just talk about it. And I think before we even get into, of course, the reflection that we do in thinking about nature and the lessons and teachings that are present as we move and transition from season to season, moving from spring into summer. I actually want to start a little bit just with some personal storytelling. Yeah, just around a little bit around why it took me a little bit to show up, I think, this time around. This is not the first time I've been late to posting. I really do try to land on the equinox and solstices when I can. And sometimes I don't, and that's okay. But I think this time was a little bit different. And so I think over the past few months, to be honest, I kind of found my relationship to tarot shifting a little bit. I've been practicing for the past 8 years. It has been such a tool that I have come to such deep knowing and trusting of um, myself really deeply, and using it as a tool to allow others to see, to get to their own places of movement, healing, transition, shift, and see others come to their own knowings through that tool too. And at the same time, as I've been doing these tarot readings and learning tarot, practicing tarot, being in relationship to it, um, there are times when I think I'm gonna be using it as a crutch. And at the same time, over these past few years, and especially the past, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the past year, 2 years, 3 years has been just like everything is ticking up. The intensity of all things have been ticking up pretty drastically. I think that's something that I've felt in my body, and I've heard from many people also um, in the world. But my own spiritual practice, I was really deepening my spiritual practice, right? And the knowings that I get, and becoming more close to the knowings that I get through connection to land, through connection to the water, through connection to the dead, through connection to community and other spiritual practitioners, from connection to my altar, um, connection to my ancestors, connection to spirits, connection to my own body and just the things I know in my own body. And those little knowings that I would get by being in better practice and relationship to all those things, all those presences. I was wanting to create more space and creating more space to trust those little knowings. But I think I was always still looking for confirmation, even in that spiritual practice, and not trusting my intuition, not trusting my ancestors, not trusting my connection to spirit, questioning my purpose, who I was, all the things that we as humans just tend to do. And I think I was using the cards as a way to get that confirmation and to not really trust the knowings that were coming without them, you know? And even as I do these readings seasonally for Tarot for World on Fire, I always start with this really important beginning around reflections on nature and how nature can be a teacher for us as we move into this next season. And those are the places where I feel like I'm really leaning in to those knowings in a deeper way, right? And yeah, through all that, I was just like, what's happening with my relationship to tarot? It's shifting. I want to explore that. What does that mean? And then over the past month, I actually got a number of requests for tarot readings as I was doing this interrogation for myself, this inquiry for myself. And, I get requests for readings here and there, but there were more than I've ever gotten over this past month. And they were just really big readings. Yeah, really big around all the things, right? Working through trauma, uncovering patterns that show up in our lineages, moving through loss. And each one of the readings was just I saw and felt in myself just a quaking, like something was shifting, for me and for the person. Um, and so it's been really cool. And I think just I've been settling in to my body with reappreciating the art of tarot, and seeing it as a really important tool and a really important resource, one of many resources, but a really important resource that I use in my healing work and that can be used in your healing work, all of our healing work, right? Um, like the cards are a really important resource. I am a resource, you're a resource, resources everywhere. And so when I think about lessons in summertime, and to be clear, I actually had written a ton of little notes over the past 2 weeks, things that were coming to me that I wanted to share as in reflection around the nature and around summertime and for this particular reading. And when I sat down in front of the computer today, all of it went out the window and this thing came to the forefront. And so that's where I'm at. And I'm going to just trust it. And what came up was resource. And thinking about summertime as resource, as abundance, there is just so much deliciousness that exists in our lives all around us. I think, and it's just important for us to just be in it for a minute, you know, be in the resource of it all, of your heartbeat, of your breath, of your eyes blinking every single day, of like the cells in your body healing and moving digestion through your stomach and hair growing out of your body, and just like the ways that the whole universe that exists in our body, wild. Um, but just all the incredible like little tiny resources that we have that are allowing us to be wherever we are, however we are, but just to be. Um, the resource of a garden, of food, of nourishment, of planting things. And I spent a good bit of time this week also in the land, working our garden, pulling weeds, doing some mulching, growing some stuff, some herbs, planting some things. And there's this really beautiful tomato garden that's in front of our house. Tomato garden. It is now a garden. It was a bush or a plant. It was a singular tomato plant that a neighbor planted last summer for the block, and grew really big, had lots of fruit. Ended up, of course, wintertime comes. It no longer is. Um, and this season, there are all these little tomato shoots, little plants everywhere around it. And so as the tomatoes were falling, the seeds were joining the earth. They were getting nourished. And there are lots of these little seedlings and these plants that are now growing. And just the resource in food and our access to food and the ways in which the garden can just replicate itself, the way that nature replicates abundance for us, I think is just phenomenal when you just take a moment to pause and focus in on it, right? Um, Thinking about the abundance and resource that we experience uh, on Juneteenth, resourcing and acknowledging and celebrating our Blackness and our histories, our legacies, just cultivating joy so deeply. Thinking about the resource that's centered in this Pride season, right? And knowing there's a lot that's happening in our communities right now. And the power and joy and possibility I experience when I'm with community, and when I'm seeing trans voices in particular, Black trans voices in particular, being centered in pride movements, having independent prides, having a space to say, this is for us, is just such a resource to be in community. You know, we collectively are a resource. There are resources everywhere. And so I know, I mean, hell, Beyonce just dropped a new single, right? I mean, can we just can we just acknowledge that resource that just came into our lives? And I don't think I'm a Beyonce stan. I love, and you know, that's a whole other. uh yeah. So good. We're not gonna do that in this moment. Anyway, there are resources everywhere. And even in this conversation that I'm having right now, I was not, this like joy that I'm experiencing and feeling right now, this was not present earlier today. I think just like talking about it is actually activating my body, right? And so I just don't think that in this moment, we need a reminder of what is, right? We know, we're clear about the attacks, the brutalization, the capitalist hellscape that we're living in. We're clear about that. We do not need really clear reminders of what is. What we do need is to remember what will be. Remember the futures that we're dreaming for ourselves and our communities every single day, that they're possible, that they're necessary, and they're possible without you and us stretching. We don't have to search. We don't have to excavate anymore. This whole past 2.5 years, right? This started in the COVID pandemic, has been all about the stretching and searching and excavating. In this moment, it just needs you. You are enough in this moment. You are a resource. You are enough, right? And so I want us to be summertime. I want us to be resource. I want us to feel that enoughness. And as we're reflecting on the art and practice of tarot and thinking about the elections, the reflections around nature, and yeah, how those two can come together, I see tarot as an opener, right? It really kind of opens us up to some knowing, some things to be paying attention to as we move forward and think about strategies to move through this season. We'll do the reading and pull in a moment. But I also see some of these nature reflective pieces, and in particular, the practice of, yes, acknowledging resource and of stillness as things that can sustain us. Stillness is something that can keep us present, that can open up the space between our thoughts and our actions, can allow us to listen, to receive, to strengthen, to build new worlds, right? Like that stillness is the space where we get to imagine really big. And part of the chaos of everything is that we're being forced and urged not to be still, to move, to go, to act, to respond, to do, to now, to now, to now. And I just think we just need to be still for a minute. And I think that's okay. So this summer, I want you to practice stillness. And I want you to practice being in resource. No more excavating, no more searching, no more any of that stuff. Just be still and just acknowledge the resources all around you. And so I'm going to invite us actually to a little bit of a practice. One of the things that I want to start doing during these readings is to start sharing learnings that I receive in my own studies and things that help me move through my own shit, because there's a lot of it. And there is actually a practice called resourcing, and locating your resources that I came into knowing and learning around through some work with education for racial equity. So there's incredible training around somatic abolitionism with Resma Menikin, who were My Grandmother's Hands, Erin Trent Johnson, and Kareen Bell. So if folks are, it's just a really, really incredible training space for folks to do somatic work, to do body work, and to really start to think about what it might look like to shift into building new culture that resists and uproots and like just white body supremacy is no longer a thing we can be, right, in our culture in the way in which it shows up. And so yeah, just really important somatic practices for it to allow us to do healing around the experience of white body supremacy and how we build new culture around healing and wholeness. So we're going to practice some resourcing. So with that, just take a few deep breaths. And again, we're going to do practices at various times through our readings together. But for now, just take a few deep breaths. And just some deep inhales and exhales just to get yourself grounded a little bit. You might be sitting down right now, laying on a couch or outside. Maybe you're with some friends in your car at a grocery store, watching some kids on a quick break from whatever you're doing. Wherever you are, working out, wherever you are is fine. Just take some deep breaths. And start to just notice the things around you. And just be really slow and intentional where you can. And just raise your eyes. And just look up. Just what are the colors that you're seeing? What are the objects? Are there sounds that you hear? Maybe laughter or chatter, sound of birds or your own breath, ambient noise somewhere around you. Maybe there's a window next to you can look out. And just take a look outside, see what's there. Are there things that kind of make you happy or bring a smile to your face? Objects that make you feel connected to you, connected to the earth, more grounded? Are there things around you that make you feel safe? Particular things you might be wearing or holding, exits that might be close by that you can see. Just find your exits too. Know that there's always a way to leave, there's always a way out. Just pay attention and take in all the big and little resources all around you. And then come back to center. So, little work for you, homework for you. How did that feel? How did that show up in your body? Did it shift anything? Was something that was there before? Is that thing, emotion, energy, sensation in your body no longer present? Is there something new that might be present that was not present before you started the resourcing practice? So use that as a tool to come to when you feel stressed, when you feel anxious, when you feel over it, when folks are doing the most, when folks are peopling, right? In spaces of mediation, in staff meetings, can we just take a minute when things are turned all the way up because things are turned all the way up all the time. The pressure is intentional and it's only getting, the valves are only turning harder, right? So as that pressure is intensifying, can we say no? Take a minute, quickly do some resource, see if there's a little bit more space that gives us to be present wherever we are. And if it don't, then put up the boundary and say, hey, actually, I'm done right now. We're done. I'm going to walk away. Or I'm going to have the energy to go deeper with you and get into the weeds of this shit because I now know I have enough to sustain me for the rest of this hard ass conversation, this long ass meeting that I didn't have before, right? Um, so yeah, using that as practice. Again, centering Black queer and trans people, but using this as practice to find resource around us every single day. So that is your healing offering. And again, they are incredible teachers who do this work and have done it for so long. Please seek them out. My Grandmother's Hand is a really beautiful book to go to learn about yeah, just a practice of somatic work as in the context of yeah, racial equity and racial justice work. And over time, as I've been doing more learnings and stuff, I'm hoping to, yeah, just create more spaces for us to be still together, whatever that looks like. Yeah, through offerings like this, through coaching or consulting. So cool. That is summertime lesson and summertime thing, right? Stillness and resource. That is who you are this summer. You are the summer. Be the summer. Okay, cool. Hope that felt good. We're now going to shift into tarot stuff. I swear, every time I do these readings, I think they're going to be like, I'm like, I promise it's going to be like 30 minutes this time. And they end up being so long. Thank you for staying with me. And again, if it is like not doing it for you, or you want them to be shorter, or you have suggestions or insights on how to switch things up, please let me know. I would love feedback to know how to make these as accessible and meaningful for folks who choose to listen. Okay, so we're gonna do the card pull. The mic is really sensitive to sound, and I'm going to shuffle the cards. So you might get some ASMR stuff happening with the tarot card shuffling. So if you're into that, welcome. Get a bit of that for your resource too. And so we're going to ask the question that we ask, which is what should we collectively be paying attention to as we move into the summer? What should we be collectively paying attention to as we move into the summer? Should we collectively be paying attention to as we move into the summer? Okay. Sorry. I was gonna do some more cutting, but actually I was like, don't do that. We're gonna stay with what is here. And there are two piles in my hand. So I'm gonna pull two from this one and one from this one, because that is what is coming up. And as we do, I'm gonna show the card to the screen, talk about what's present, and then we're gonna do the reading for the summer. And cards might come up from previous readings, which is fine. I'm sort of seeing this moment a little bit as like as a renewal. It's kind of, I'm feeling like the 2 year long journey that we've been on, it's kind of feels like it's kind of closing a little bit for me. So we'll see what comes up. Um, and if this is wanting us to bring previous readings back in, or if it really wants us to look forward and think about what's to come. Okay, here we go. First card that comes up is the Eight of Pentacles. Second card that comes up is the World. Third card that comes up is the Sun. Hmm. Mm. Okay, y'all. I can't make this shit up. Like, it's just what? I'm just feeling so grateful and connected. Yeah, that this offering is present and that the cards are like really affirming this moment and what I intentionally felt and what summer is bringing us and acknowledging for us in this time. So I'm going to read these cards in the order that I pulled them, yes, but I do want to acknowledge one piece in the order that I pulled them. So I said, shuffle the cards. I was going to do some more cutting. I was like, oh no, we need to stop here. That's the message that I'm getting. Put down the cards, pull two from the right, one from the left. The one from the left is the one that was like, stop here. You just want to pull from this. And the card that came up in that was the World. And so I think that is just a really, really distinct and intentional message that I got while I was shuffling. And also the World is a really, really big message. And so I'm going to actually read that one last. I'm going to read the Eight of Pentacles and the Sun cards first. Cool. So Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles. Again, really quickly before I get into the reading, these cards, I've said them before, I'll say them again. These cards are The Next World Tarot by Christy Rode. Incredible cards, beautiful, really big and colorful, really focusing on BIPOC folks, women, queer folks, femmes, definitely abled folks, just like a really, really beautiful deck. So the Eight of Pentacles. And the Eight of Pentacles, this image, I'm going to show it again to y'all, are these two people, super cute and smiley, and just standing in front of this like pile of like papers, right? Like just acknowledging all the good work that they've done, the things that they've accomplished. They've just, it's as if like the manuscript of their lives, right, has been written and is like present for us to see. The Eight of Pentacles cards. Pentacles are cards of earth. They're cards of our foundation. They're our root. They are our finances, our home, our stability, our security, just the things that keep us grounded and present. And the Eight of Pentacles card is really about, it's a card of making shit happen. It's the card of like manifestation. It's the card of skills building and like crafting things and building things, right? With your mind, with your hands, with your words. It's the energy of transmuting from ideas to action, to energy, to like substance in the world, right? It's about like creating shit, birthing stuff, right? Making things alive and real. And so, and then this particular card with the image that's present, right? it's really the energy of accomplishment. It's the energy of like success, of like, I did the thing, I created it, I am actively moving the thing out of here and here and into here. I'm making it real and alive. I'm giving it substance and root and foundation and stability. And so, what in your life have you created? What have you done? I think so much of the energy of the readings we've done throughout this past 2 years really have been about, what is your creative pursuit? What is the thing that needs to be birthed into the world? How are you birthing it? How are you paying attention to it? Please give it some energy and attention, give it some love and like light, like, you know, just like all that shit, right? Like it's really been about that. And the Eight of Pentacles is like, yeah, boo, like you did it. Take a look back. It might have happened exactly the way that you thought. The dream might have shifted in some ways. Maybe there's still more work to be done. Sure, we are humans. There is a lifelong journey of learning that we have. There's always shit to be doing, always. But you did it though, right? And so just take a moment, because this is actually inviting the look back, right? So take a moment and just take a look back and be like, what did I accomplish? What has this journey been? What now exists in the world? What knowing do I have about myself? What thing did I manifest and create that is now here, that wasn't here before? Wasn't here 2 years ago, maybe wasn't even here in the spring, and now it's summer and it's here, right? um what skills have you learned? What knowledges have you gained? What tools have you acquired? What community has expanded? Like, what is the thing that is now present? And can we just take a moment and just smile about it and just see it as resource, right? See the abundance that we established and created for ourselves. Yeah, and just be in it. That's the Eight of Pentacles energy. The Sun, I mean, is there a better card to acknowledge summertime than the Sun? I'm gonna show it to y'all again. Really beautiful, incredible card. Just the flowers, looking up at the sky, the color, the just like hope and just, whew, yeah. The Sun is all about presence. It's all about being here. It's about acknowledging abundance. It's about basking in the glow of all that you have done and all that you are becoming and will do. It's about shining. It's about getting nourished. Uh, it's just, yeah, it's just, it's resonant. It's like, when I think of the Sun card, I think of someone being so radiant that they just kind of ripple, and they have so much light that they can spill over and shine a little bit on others too. And so, again, it's a moment of applause. It's a moment of celebration. It's a moment of gratitude. It's a moment of honoring yourself, your journey, who you are, how you got here, and the abundance of what is in your soul, body, mind, and spirit right now. You are the Sun. You are summer. You are light, right? And so let's just like, just soak that up for a minute and just, again, center ourselves in that knowing. It is necessary. It is necessary, right? Necessary. You are the Sun. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, I'm going to add a little bit to that too, in the sense that thinking about the way in which the cosmos exists, and our sun is a star through by which the planets circle, right? Had its own gravitational pull, um, and pulls and keeps kind of things where they are in place. Um, it, yeah, it's just so necessary. And so, again, seeing yourself as deeply necessary, and also seeing that gravitational pull that exists around you, right? Like the things that are in your orbit, and just knowing how much impact you have around the things that are in your orbit, and how needed you are in your communities. So, yeah, mm, just, just, it's so good, so good. Yeah, it's so good. Love it. Great. And then we get to the world. And I think the world might have come up in a reading for us a while ago, I think. Um, but here's the world card. And again, I think it's really intentional that it showed up in this moment. Um, yeah, as I was pulling the cards. Cool. So, so a couple of things. One is the major arcana. We've talked about this multiple times. Major arcana really centers in on the fool's journey. The fool's journey kind of starting with bravery, innocence, naivete, adventure, just ready to take a big risk, um, and do something really bold and start a journey. And it takes us through the lessons that happen along that journey and brings us to the end of that journey. The end of that journey is the world. The sun actually comes just a little bit ahead of the world. So it's also like end of a season energy, right? The sun card and definitely the world card. They both come in at the end of a season of our lives, at the end of a rotation, if you will, the end of a lesson, the end of a journey that we're on. And so reflect on that. It's really about like, applause, we made it. Yes. And so the world is also that. The world is the feeling of deep relief, of deep, um, just the exhale, the allowing your body to really settle into the knowing that you did a big thing. You did a really big thing. Um, you've come through so many ups and downs, so many cycles of learning over and over again. And now you're at the end of this particular lesson that you're on, this particular journey. What in your life have you come to the end of? Um, uh, Job, relationship, uh, what else? Belief system. Um, what have you come to the end of? And what lessons have you learned in that? The world card is really important because it's really about reflecting on, yes, the journey, but really the lessons. It's the stuff that we, yeah, just has been happening to us, through us, on this course that we've been in. And the world is saying, okay, let's take a moment to, yeah, let's celebrate that, and let's like rest in it, and let's be grateful for making it through, and let's acknowledge what's ending, and let's make sure that we take those lessons that we've learned and we integrate those. We create the space to say, okay, I did things this way, that didn't work. I didn't like the way that felt. I didn't like the way that it impacted people around me. Um, that's a lesson that I've learned that I want to shift and do differently. Um, this thing felt really dope. This thing actually like made me feel alive, made me feel connected to myself, made me feel like in my purpose. And so this is something that I need to know to come back to feel connected to my purpose, right? What are the things, the lessons that you have acquired? And how are you going to integrate those? Make sure that you integrate them. All sorts of ways to do that. Journaling, maybe doing a voice note. Um, maybe it's through talking to a therapist. Maybe it's through movement, right? What are the ways you're gonna really deeply reflect on that? And I think one of the best ways to do that, again, coming back to one of the things we talked about in the beginning, is stillness. In order to integrate stuff, you often need to get away from your everyday. You need to get away from the from the buzz of it all, even if for a moment, just to do some of that reflective work. And really figure out how you're going to move differently now that you have come to the end of a cycle, now that you've completed this journey that you're on. So find some space for stillness, a moment, an hour, a weekend. Find some moment for stillness to really do some of that reflection, really integrate it, because we're at the end of a way of being. We are, we're clear that the ways that we've been is no longer going to work. And so what lessons can you integrate? Because new journeys are ahead, right? When we get to the world, we take all those lessons we've learned, we integrate them, and then we start a new journey. Ideally, feeling a little bit stronger, a little bit braver, a little more prepared and more ready for what's to come. So yeah, get still, rest, reflect, integrate. Be the sun, and yeah, just really look back at all the work that you've done, and celebrate. Yeah, celebrate what is, what's been, and what will be. So that's your reading for summertime. Feels really on message, which is really great. Cool. I think we did it. I think this is your reading. I know this is your reading. All right. Yay. Thanks so much for staying with me through all this. Yeah, please. When I say that I really love feedback, I really truly do. So please let me know how these are resonating, so I can just make sure these are as responsive as they can be to your own practice and process. And I'm really excited about things going on my end. I think that there is hopefully a summertime will be, I'll be in some practice around bringing some of the stuff that I've been working on behind the scenes to light a little bit and to life. So you might see some things change and shift on the website, lightalchemy.com or lightbaltimore.com, around both offerings that I'm providing to folks and also some visioning and planning I'm doing for the future, particularly as it relates to land and Black queer and trans people. So I'm really excited about it, and doing that work in community, in collective. So stay tuned for more. Okay. Thank you again. So much love to you. Happy summer. Happy summer. And we'll see folks in the autumn for our autumn equinox reading. So much love. And we'll close out with a little bit more music.
I hold on to pride, but no side.